And I'll be honest, the best thing that ever happened to Wayne State College football was COVID.
Hmm.
Because we got to redshirt the whole entire program. We didn't have to play games that first season, so we got to change habits. We got to spend the whole year in the weight room. And then one of the perks of Nebraska being a red state is they didn't close it all down completely.
Hmm.
So we had kids on campus. We could do workouts. We could do all kinds of stuff. So we got to basically spend a whole year redshirting our whole entire program, and it did wonders.
Today's guest on the Left Hash Call is the definition of a program guy, a former record-setting receiver at Wayne State College, a Northern Sun Hall of Famer, now the head coach of his alma mater. Since being promoted in February of 2022, he's led the Wildcats to the first ever NSIC overall championship, multiple postseason caliber seasons, and a 31-14 record in his first 4 years at the helm. His teams are built on toughness, physicality in the run game, and a relentless commitment to the process and development. The head coach at Wayne State College, Logan Masters. How you doing today, Coach?
I'm doing awesome. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, just getting right into it, what's life been like for you lately? Obviously, wrapping up signing day not too long ago. You guys seemingly had a good class, but what's life look for you both in and out of football?
Yeah, I mean, family-wise, fifth grade basketball is big, taking up the weekends with Lincoln and his team. And then my middle two, my first grader and preschooler, they wrestle. And I don't know anything about wrestling, but it's fun watching them take out their aggression on some other kid besides each other, like they do in our house all the time. And so doing a lot of that right now, spending time with the boys and the family. And then as far as football, just trying to make ourselves better right now with our team. We got big, beautiful indoor, doing some football stuff in there, some running, mobility, explosion stuff. And then in the weight room, which is obviously a big part of making your team big and strong. But I also believe in the psychological part. Like we do some hard things in there. We're probably a little old school in how we lift. We still do heavy squats and test them. I think it's more of a strengthening the mind more so than the body, because you hear a lot of trainers talk, we want them to feel their best. Yeah, we do. However, after your first day of fall camp, your body's never the same in football and you're always sore or something. Well, you got to get used to performing when you're maybe not at your best. So I'm doing a lot of that. And then as a coaching staff, trying to grow and learn. If you're staying the same, you're getting passed up. So I'm talking with other coaches, challenging ourselves and our staff with different things to make ourselves better for next fall.
What does that look like practically for you guys? Are you guys going to a bunch of clinics? Are you guys doing a lot of stuff around the area? What's kind of that look like for you guys in the off season?
It kind of vary different things. Sometimes, it can be as simple as finding something on YouTube and watching it after the kids go to bed, or we've had our coaches call us and talk to other staffs. We got our defensive staff is going to go visit another program. Just again, looking at ourselves and things that we think are really good, but when you break it down and look at it, we weren't very good. And so it's crazy how the mind plays tricks and other things where you thought it was just a wrinkle, a gadget play. Well, shoot, you ran it so many times and it was really successful. Maybe we need to call it more and find more ways to use it. Just doing different things like that here before we dive into spring ball here, March 3rd, and start getting ready for that 26th season.
What is the postseason analysis of the season look like for you guys? And also, how do you guys break all of that down? Are you guys, hey, we're going to watch every single play 10 times? Are you, hey, we're just going to focus on, some little things, and then on top of that, what are some of the things that you guys know that you just need to get better at going into this spring?
I think we watch it multiple times, kind of start play family, whether it's zone, duo, pin pull, mesh, your play action, post cross, different things like that. Kind of watch it, what formation we're using. Is there different, better ways to do it? And then kind of the second, third time maybe watch it, it's more personnel. Okay, if our guys returning, what do we need to do for them to be better? What is their overwhelming, right now, weakness that we need to fix? What are our strengths of certain things? And maybe it's running one play more one direction than the other, because running it to the front side, these two guys are better up front than the back side, and things like that. that's kind of how we have attacked things. And then constantly evolving in like the passing game. Well, it looks really good on paper, but if your quarterback can't go out there and execute it and guys aren't getting open, well, it doesn't matter what you think about on the board. Sometimes subtraction is the best thing that happens, because then you're getting more quality reps on what you're good at, getting even better at it, and then finding more ways to do it. I'm a big formation guy who can line up all crazy as much as possible to challenge defenses and make them line up right, and then start moving pieces around. But for our guys, at the end of the day, it's our base stuff. So being more creative in what we already do, but then also maybe finding a wrinkle or two here that we haven't shown in the past few years.
Yeah, and when you look back at this 2025 season, man, I think it'd be hard for me to find a team that was doing this more than anybody else potentially in the country, especially, you beat, Minnesota State. Then you have a couple good weeks, and then capping that off, beating Augustana at the end of the year. I'm sure that you guys are feeling pretty good after. Obviously, you want to make the playoffs. Obviously, you want to win a conference championship, but to kind of close that season out on a high note, winning those 4 straight games, I'm sure that you feel good about yourself going into the offseason.
Yeah, it's totally different. So the last 2 years we've been 7-4 and probably fallen below where we want to be, but totally different feelings. Coming off the 24 season 7-4, it was disappointing. Kind of felt you just really disappointed, I guess, best way to put it. And how do we fix it? Well, this year, not saying 7-4, like I said, at the end of the day, you're still 7-4, but winning 4 straight instead of losing 3 or 4 like the year before. It just, the guys have more energy. And that's probably the biggest thing. I'm a big believer in energy and effort. I think a lot of this stuff, us coaches make it too complicated. Well, if your guys will play really hard for each other and never quit, you're always going to be in the fight. And that's kind of the biggest thing probably I saw from us this past year is I don't know how hard we played the first 7 games. And then on top of it, then when you're not playing overly as hard, overly as physical, those errors get blown up.
Right.
And we weren't perfect playing the last 4 games, but our guys played so hard for each other. They never quit believing in each other. It's just, I don't know why. I'd like to say I know what flipped the switch. I know we had a bye week, and I don't know if they had some secret team meeting or what, but it was like we were just 2 totally different teams and how we practiced. There was more energy. There was a little more fire, probably a little more scuffling offense, defense, just being more competitive and having that competitive spirit. But it's crazy how that you're, at the end of the day, you're still 7-4, but going into the offseason, they're totally different. And it's been a lot of fun being around the guys. Just the couple of times we get up early in the morning and do some football stuff, just the energy in the morning has been outstanding for our guys right now. And it's all the way from the guys doing it they're going to be a 6th-year senior to the true freshman. That's their first workout. It's contagious. They want to get better. And it's so far been the most fun I've had in an off season so far.
That's awesome. Well, and one of the other pieces that you've, obviously had to navigate it is losing Coach McLaughlin. And as I look through your guys' staff, I mean, it feels like there are guys all over the place. Like your coaching tree seems like maybe one of the deepest in Division II. You have, Coach Krieger over there at Iowa, and Quincy Griffith is down there at Drake right now. And then obviously Coach McLaughlin. What's kind of the staff development process for you, or you're just in the business of hiring really good coaches, or what does that look like for you, and how difficult has that been to obviously replace a guy like Coach McLaughlin?
Well, I mean, to me, a staff's a team just like a football team. So you want to get obviously the best people you believe that also fit. I think fit is so important. You see a lot of times in D1 football, you really get to see it just because it's more national spotlight, but some people just don't fit jobs, and it doesn't mean they're a bad coach. They don't fit all the other little things that go into it outside of football, because it's so much more than that. And so I guess maybe been lucky, but I think if you surround yourself with really good people, that my biggest thing is work hard. Do I think all of us have always seen eye to eye on things and believe exact same thing? No, but if we all come in and work our tails off and our players see that, again, that stuff's contagious. It spreads like wildfire. So I mean, yeah, I just been blessed with really hardworking and guys who aren't afraid to go out and learn, that don't think they know everything and have the answer to everything. That you got to be constantly evolving and growing as a human and as a coach and in everything you do. Otherwise, you are going to get passed up. And so just again, just those guys that came in with the right mindset to come in here and you try and challenge them. But I just like as you asked that question, I don't know if there's anything I've done overly to prepare them. I think we just try and work and be efficient with our time. I'm a big family guy, so we aren't going to be up here way late at night. If we have to get some extra work in, we're going to get our butts up early in the morning. And so no one likes really getting up early. So it even makes us coaches more efficient in our time in the afternoons and during the day to get our stuff done and be prepared for what we need to. So we don't have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and start doing stuff. And then, yeah, I mean, obviously, I think Nick Saban was pretty good at what he did, and he was not comparing myself to him by any means, guys. So I want to get that out there. But he's always having to hire new people. But if you hire the right people, okay, there's always someone bigger that can pay them more, or sometimes you don't have a promotion for them, and you don't want them to stop chasing their dreams. Just they're gonna move on, and so you just have to be ready to go find the next guy. And the thing I learned right away with that is just gotta get out of your comfort zone. You're gonna have to find someone that, again, you think knows football, can coach the kids, teach the kids the right way, fits what you're about as a football program. Wayne America is Wayne America. That's going to fit into that mold. And then be a recruiter and like to recruit. I mean, that's probably the biggest challenge is I'm going to challenge guys to get on the road as much as possible, go watch games, basketball, go visit the kids, because at the end of the day, they're the ones making the plays, not us. And so if we can get the kids that are obviously really good but fit us, and we can keep them here at Wayne State, equal success, and ultimately helps our coaches then go chase their goals and their dreams as coaches professionally.
I want to go back, to when you first got to Wayne State. I'm curious what your recruiting process was like. Obviously, you end up being a Hall of Famer with Wayne State, but what was your recruiting process like coming out of high school?
It was different. So I thought I was. So Jeff Samardzija was who I wanted to be. I don't know if you remember that, but Notre Dame wide receiver pitcher. Well, that was me. Well, in high school, you think you're the man at everything you do. Well, little reality check. Well, only 2 schools would let me do football and baseball. And so I kind of narrowed my thing down because I wasn't ready to give up one of those sports. Loved them both for as long as I could remember. And Wayne State, like looking back, it's crazy. Like they didn't show us the weight room because it was so bad. I mean, it is nothing like it is now. And that's thanks to Coach McLaughlin, who convinced us and his recruiting plan of not showing us that stuff. Somehow he got us all here and then started winning and being successful, and just carried on. And then Coach McMiniman came here for his 2 years and helped take it to another level. And then we tried to keep growing off that. But it just, the thing that stuck out to me, and I think it comes down to fit, is the people here. It is a college town. The community loves the Wildcats. They're going to bend over backwards to help you. The professors here are awesome. Okay, it's a smaller school, but it's big enough that you don't feel like you're in high school. But they're going to know who you are. So if you do need help, you don't always have to go to just upperclassman who runs a tutoring session. You can go meet one-on-one with professors. I mean, just it was family, and you felt it right away. And that's kind of how I ended up. Just because, kind of by default, just only 2 schools let me play football and baseball, and I thought I was the next big time pitcher, and turns out 2 years and I couldn't throw a strike. So I figured the next best thing is just stick to football.
Yeah, right. What are some of the things that you look back on your playing career, and maybe some of the things that shaped you, not only as a person, but as a coach as well?
I mean, you learn to work. Again, sometimes coming out of high school, you think you're the man. Then you get to college and you realize like it's a lot of work. And so no one cares about what you did in high school. And it's you hate to say it, but it's what have you done for me lately? Well, if you show up one day in practice, you can't bring it the next day. Consistency. How do they trust you to get you to football? And so that's one thing I pride on is trying to give everything I got and everything we did as a player and drills and things like that, and just compete. Like, I hate losing. Okay. Well, like my son, he's a 5th grader, got a little checkers app on my phone. And like, I'm maybe a bad person. I cannot let him beat me. And I know it's going to make him mad. And he's going to get upset. And my wife's not going to be happy. Why are you playing that stinking game? But like, just being competitive in everything you do. And this is kind of how my dad kind of raised me. I mean, if you're going to do it, you might as well try and be the best. And so Coach McLaughlin, my head coach, really wired that into us as student athletes. And so everything I did was to compete, to be the best, to keep pushing yourself. There's always someone out there that might be better than you, and you want to try and chase them. Not that you want to get into the comparison, because it's more internal, but having the mindset of every little thing, the process, the daily habits that make you who you are and what you want to be on Saturdays. And so just carrying that over now to coaching and instilling that in our team. And some days are going to be hard. Okay. Well, if you can focus on little things, you can find little wins during the day to make yourself better, so you're not feeling like you're just constantly losing. And on the flip side, okay, when things are going really well, there's still little things you can get better at to humble you, so you don't think you've made it. You don't get complacent. And again, those are just things that from my dad raising me to Coach McLaughlin, then the being in the coaching profession have really translated from student athlete to coach, that I think are beneficial for myself personally, but also our program.
Did you always know you wanted to be a coach?
Yeah, so I was a weirdo. So growing up, my dad played Division III football at Dubuque, and they were, I think, 2 or 3 conference titles in the late 70s, early 80s. So they were pretty good. Well, all of his film was on VHS. And so instead of watching cartoons on Saturday, because I'm old enough, games on ABC, a few on ESPN, but game day was kind of making its way to being known. But so I'd watch those in the morning, and then I'd watch football. Or my family's big Iowa State fans, so had season tickets, so we'd drive to Ames if they were at home, and we went to every home game from as long as I can remember till my junior year of high school. And then obviously recruiting, going to game days kind of changed that for me. But so I knew then I just loved football. It was always something I wanted to be a part of. Then you throw in the video games, okay? Not gonna lie. Madden on N64, back when I was little, okay? Eddie George was a beast with the Titans. I don't remember what year exactly it was, but fell in love with it then. You get to call plays, you get to be a DC, you get to do it all. Then you get to the NCAA, which has always been my favorite, and more of a college guy than a pro guy. And then the last thing at high school, my mom was my English teacher, and she made us our sophomore year do a career paper on 3 different careers. And I was adamant I was going to be a college football coach. So I'm like, why, Mom? I'm not doing 2 other careers. Like, it's stupid. I'm wasting time. Like, I know I'm going to be a football coach. I'll go more in depth on it and do a better job on this one. Nope, you got to do it on 3. That's the rules, blah, blah, blah. Well, being a stubborn sophomore in high school, I'm like, nope. Well, she told my dad, and I came home from, I don't know, basketball practice or something one day, and he had a one-sided conversation that told me my butt's going to do it on 3 different careers. So I don't even know what the other 2 careers are. I know I probably didn't do a very good job of it, but I spent all my time on how I was going to be a college football coach. And through recruiting, I just knew I wanted to be a GA when I got done playing and start doing it, because I love being around football. It's a little biased. It's the best sport, and it's not even close. I think it relates to real life. It teaches you so many things that can help make you successful, whether you're the star player or just a role guy. It's so valuable and growing as a man. So
yeah, absolutely. I love that. Absolutely. Yeah. If you were with it back then, you could have said, "Oh, head coach, offense coordinator, defensive coordinator. Those are my 3."
I wasn't smart enough back then to think that way. So
yeah, right. Yeah, no, but yeah, that's that is awesome. But truly a football guy. It sounds like through and through. But when you first got that first coaching job, what do you remember? What are some things maybe that maybe surprised you about that first job, or was it? I'm sure it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows basically the entire time, but what were maybe some challenges that you had to kind of face when you first got into the profession?
yeah, and I don't know if it was just being young and dumb, but like I thought it was just football all the time, and so all I did is watch film and scheme stuff up, keep learning. Well, as a GA, it's not very much. I mean, it's part of it, but it's not very much of it.
Right.
So, like we didn't have a strength conditioning coach when I started as a GA. So one of our full-time coaches would write the workout. Well, then we'd be 6 a.m., 5:45, whatever it may be. We'd run weights, okay? And then you get in the fall, you get into the game plan. So you got the red shirt program, then you got the guys who are playing a little, the guys who are playing less. So like basically 3 different workouts that you're having to do different times during the day as a GA. And then you get into the scheming part, the watching film. Well, then you got to do laundry from the workouts before practice. And I mean, I was a player, and it is obviously here, so I was the one giving GAs a hard time about my stuff's still wet. Like, come on, guys. Well, now I'm on the other side of it, and there's not anything I can say because they're right. They're right. I got caught watching Minnesota State Mankato and breaking them down instead of changing the laundry, and now I let down 105 guys because now their clothes are all wet, and that's something you missed, but you hated in like 2-a-days putting on the wet stuff. Well, now you're doing that on a Tuesday in the middle of fall, putting on wet stuff to go out there practice. So just stuff like that, like trying to be as organized as possible. Because if you're not and you get off, you're letting other people down. And I know laundry doesn't seem like a big thing, but it matters to the kids. And so just, I mean, those were the eye-opening things is that there's a lot more to it. Like, you might have to make an airport run. Like, you think you got this planned out for this. Well, nope, someone's flying in and you got to go get the school car and go pick him up. And it saved the program a couple $100. So they don't fly in till midnight, or they fly out at 4 a.m. in the morning. So you're leaving at 1 a.m. to take them to the airport to make sure they can get there in time. So you're not sleeping. And, oh, by the way, we're going to have a staff meeting at 8:30. So you're not going to really get a nap in there at all. And you're going to have a smile on your face. And there's going to be some job that the full-timer, not that it was terrible, I didn't get treated bad as a GA, so I'm not saying that, but something that they maybe don't want to do, so now you have to do it, but if you mess it up, then you're going to upset them. So I guess you learn to function without much sleep. So
yeah. You talk about GAs. A friend of the show, Alex Boyer, was a GA while you were obviously there. What do you remember about? I'm just curious. What do you remember about him as a young coach back in those days?
not afraid to work. If there was a job, he volunteered for it. He did it, and he did a heck of a job. And I go back to, I think that's how, like, people always talk relationships. Well, for me, you want to have a relationship with someone, like, show them that you're willing to work hard, not afraid to take on new tasks, and do it at a high level. That's how you earn trust and get a new job. Or when a coach calls and, hey, do you got anybody, you recommend them in a second because they've shown you they're not afraid to adapt. They're not afraid to attack any new challenge that you throw on them. But yeah, Boyer was a worker. I mean, we were kind of unique. Not to say we were the first start, but we started this graphic Twitter thing when we got hired. So we didn't have a lot of buzz, and Coach Mann did a great job of having this plan of, we're going to bombard Twitter with all these random weird graphics. And Boyer was behind a lot of the cool designs and things like that, because just younger coaches are more hip with times than us old guys, because we keep getting further away and those guys stay the same. They're really close to the age of the guys playing, so they know what's kind of trendy and things like that. So, man, yeah, Coach Boyer was a worker, and not afraid to attack new things. And he had it worse because he was during COVID. So there was, with new staff, we all lived in the dorms and there was nothing going on. So it was just football all the time. So we were finding all kinds of crazy stuff to be working on and doing as a staff, because we didn't have anywhere else to go. We couldn't do anything else. So football.
He mentioned shoveling the paw. Can you talk about that a little bit and kind of maybe how that started, or how that has become kind of a tradition, or where does that come from? Yeah, so
it came from Coach McMiniman started it, and I think he still carries it on at Northwest. Here, it hasn't snowed all year. We haven't had to scoop it once. It snowed when we played Sioux Falls. By the time we got back here Saturday afternoon and coming Sunday morning, the snow had melted. So that's the last time we've had like measurable snow here in Wayne this year. But yeah, it's just the paw's never covered. Gonna scoop it up. It's always gonna be showing. And it's really cool. Like, you have your official visits and you have your night meal up in the press box, and you turn the lights on and it's all white except for a big old paw in the middle of the field, all lit up, uncovered in the snow. And so it just, I can't take credit for it. Coach McMiniman started it when he got hired here right before COVID, and there was a few times, like, it doesn't matter if it's a November snowstorm or a May snowstorm, like, the paw's not going to be covered. We're going to get it scooped off, and just it's kind of how it started, and we've carried it on.
When you came back as the offense coordinator in 2020, what are some of the things that you really wanted to make sure that you were doing, whether it was things that you did as a player, things that you were already doing as a coach, but what were some of the things that you wanted to make your offensive identity when you first came back?
I think the biggest thing being with Coach McMiniman was finding, like, obviously we have an idea of what we want to do, but what do we think our guys can be good at? So we didn't spend a lot of time watching past stuff. And I'll be honest, the best thing that ever happened to Wayne State college football was COVID. because we got to redshirt the whole entire program. We didn't have to play games that first season, so we got to change habits. We got to spend the whole year in the weight room. And then one of the perks of Nebraska being a red state is they didn't close it all down completely.
Mm.
So we had kids on campus. We could do workouts. We could do all kinds of stuff. So we got to basically spend a whole year redshirting our whole entire program. And it did wonders. It got us so far more advanced than if we had to play. Because these true freshmen now, we're all redshirt freshmen. And we had to play a few, probably too many, especially in our league, to be successful 18-year-olds in some critical spots. Well, we didn't have to because we didn't have a season, which stunk at the time. But looking back, it was probably the best thing. So we kind of got to do trial and error. We got to spend that whole fall basically trying things out and seeing what our guys could do and how we could adjust to it and find new wrinkles because maybe we weren't quite ready to go bully the big teams around. Well, now it develops your RPOs putting guys in conflict because now if they're thinking they're slow and now they're frozen because they don't know what to do because they know you're reading them, but they don't know exactly how you're reading them, and finding matchups. And it let us spend a little more time on the opponents we were going to play and coordinators and trying to find tendencies, how they're going to line up and things like that. And then you get into spring, and spring you got, I'm trying to remember, I think you got a few more practices. We got a scrimmage, Kearney and Shattern, so we got to now have kind of a trial run on if this stuff's going to work. How do our kids go out and handle it in a game-like setting, which as a new staff, you didn't know. You've been with them for over a year, but you still never played in a game. And so I think that was the big thing. And then the more playing wide receiver, you think, hey, we're going to be air raid, throw it. The further I get away, like, if you want to be really good where we're at, you got to run the football. Like you don't know what the weather's going to be like. How do you stop a really good offense? Well, make them stand on the sideline. Like going 3 and out, throwing it 3 times, put your defense in a bind. And so I think playing complementary football and stuff, but like the running game travels. And so I think learning that from other coaches, Coach McLaughlin, Coach Long out of Shatter, Coach Miniman, and then keep evolving as a coach, just kind of led us to where our offense is now with being a running team that's in 12 and 11 quite a bit and finding RPOs and different run schemes and different ways to attack, and then finding some fast guys on the outside to get one-on-one and throw it deep.
Yeah, it really feels like COVID was a big turning point for a lot of programs in good ways and in bad, because you see some other teams around, Division III and Division II and even NAI that, hey, during COVID, like it did, we lost a lot of guys and then we turned out to be really bad the next year, or vice versa. Like you guys, same deal, like, had a great, retention plan, I guess you would say. And then, had a lot of 5th year guys come back, and you see that as a big turning point. But then becoming the head coach in 2022, and then that first season you go 9-3 and win the first ever NSIC championship. And then obviously with that, you go to the D2 playoffs. With that season being your first year as the head coach and walking off the field that year, was it kind of like this is I'm sure it wasn't, but man, this is easy being a head coach. We just do this all the time. Was just come back and win it every year now. But what were some of the things that you took away from that first season that you knew that, hey, we have a good identity here and I want to keep it rolling. But what were some of those things that you can think of?
Yeah, I mean, that first season was a whirlwind. I mean, the best advice I ever got, whether it was being a coordinator, head coach, you're not ready until you do it. It's kind of like being a dad. Like you can read all those stinking books that my wife made me read and like things like that, but you're not ready until you just get thrown into the fire. And again, I go back to surround yourself with really good people. I've had really good staffs, really good assistant coaches that have been able to handle. Maybe I'd probably put those first couple of years a little bit more on their plates to let me just handle the head coaching stuff, just being new and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, shoot, seems like it was yesterday, but dang, that was 4 years ago. We got to do that stuff more often. But, yeah, I mean, the kids were great. And then once you get through and you see your habits and your little things and how they practice and probably other coaches said this, but when they get interviewed and they're preaching the same message that you preach to them during the week to get ready for each game, like it just showed they cared, it was important to them. And it just when anything's important to you, you care, you spend a little extra time, you show love for your teammates, love for your coaches, love for your players. It's contagious, and you're working hard. You don't know you're working hard because you don't want to let your buddy down. Like it's special. And that first year you as a head coach, I don't know why I noticed it more than I had previously as an assistant coach. And I don't know if it's because now with the program, even though it's not really mine, it's yours. Your name's on everything you do. You just notice those little things maybe a little bit more than when I was offense coordinator. It's more about how can we get first downs, stay on the field, be efficient on third downs, get touchdowns in the red zone instead of hard work makes us good. Okay. Caring for people makes us good. A lot of times you look at why you lost, you might not have played super hard. You probably didn't tackle very well and you didn't block very well. Well, like if you can get your kids to believe in playing hard and doing those things and that sometimes it overcomes not being as talented or having an off day and just making the game ugly and winning ugly because you're just mentally tougher and you know the guys next to you aren't going to let you down and things like that. Because you just got to be better than the team you play. You don't have to be the best team in the country. You just got to be better than whoever you play. And sometimes winning ugly, it's still a win. Losing pretty is never a good thing. I've never heard any coach get excited about that. So just that first year really opened my eyes to that stuff and seeing the little details and how important they are to being successful. And I credit again our assistant coaches. We had great seniors, and then we had a bunch of really young guys, but they'd all played a year, almost 2 years, been the guy because of the COVID redshirt. And then now I haven't being true freshmen technically, but they're redshirt freshmen. They're in the program for a year and things like that. So it was a lot of fun then, and you can see us growing off of it. And that first staff, that first senior class, they really set the tone on how we did the little things, and it's made us who we are today.
Obviously, you were an offense coordinator, becoming a head coach, but what are some of the things that your offense will always try to stress on? Obviously, you mentioned running the ball, but maybe more so from the quarterback position. What's something that a Logan Masters offense and a Logan Masters quarterback will always look like, and always as far as traits and characteristics that guy's going to have?
Ultimate competitor. Like you got to be a guy that just hates to lose. And if you hate to lose, you're going to be fine if you have to hand it off 70 times a game. You're going to be fine if you have to throw it 50 times a game. You're going to find ways to win. You're not going to be afraid to work. And so all my quarterbacks have been really good. They've all had those characteristics. Been team guys, not afraid to maybe admit when they messed up. I think that a lot can be said for a leader when they can say, "Hey guys, I messed it up." Even maybe if it wasn't totally their fault, they still go to the offense and go to the team and say, "Hey, that one's on me. I'll be better. Here we go." Like that stuff again is contagious. And sometimes I always tell the quarterbacks too, like you and me are married. We're going to probably get too much credit when things are good. Things are bad. It's probably always going to be our fault. And that's just, we got to be able to shoulder and accept it and go about our business and keep getting better, but we can't let it affect us. And if it ever does, come in here, close the door, let's talk it out. Let's get it off our chest. And because when we go to the outside world, no one cares. It's about finding a way to win. And so those are, hopefully when you look at Wayne State, Shattern State, when I've had quarterbacks, those are some characteristics that you see. And obviously, as far as the football side of it, guys who are athletic can make plays with their feet when they have to, make the defense have to defend all 11, the whole width and length of the field, and be efficient and stress defenses, whether it's stretching the ball vertically, horizontally, different formations. Always been a big empty out of 12 purse, 0-2, 0-3, because a lot of times empty, it's 5 wide, and you see defenses are going to walk up, the double mug stuff, A gap, and then you're one guy short, whoever you don't block can get a free run at your quarterback. And like, I don't want to be in the world where our quarterback's having to make decisions where he's got a guy running untouched at him. Like, I don't care who you are. That's hard to be really good and just know you're going to stand there and take it over and over. So being in those different empty sets where you quarterback can run it, you can max pro things, you can get 5 guys out, just putting pressure on the defense, then unbalanced and find new ways to line up in funky formations to, again, stress defenses. And to me, it all comes back to our dang cell phones. Kids today want to communicate through DMs and texts. They don't want to call people up. I remember being little, obviously we didn't have phones. You have to call your buddies, see if they're home. And it's like, it's just a little thing, but you have to talk on the phone for a couple minutes to find out, hey, what are we going to do? Where are we going to meet? Go in the pool at 1, we're going to play baseball till 10. When the noon whistle goes, we'll go home and eat and we'll meet at the pool. Like you planned out your day on the phone. Well, now it's all text message. So in football, you can't do that. So when you're changing formations, coming up in the funky stuff, to me, it forces safeties, linebackers, even the front, excuse me, having to move and talk to each other, which is not necessarily this generation's strong suit. Now, I think it can be, not giving them an excuse, but it just challenges them.
When you look at this recruiting class, obviously, I believe the number was 33 guys, and obviously a lot of guys in Nebraska, a lot of guys in Iowa. Why is it so important for you to own your region and own, Nebraska? And I know, obviously, from experience as well, you guys are so good at recruiting Iowa as well. But why is that always so important to you guys to make sure that Iowa, Nebraska is really that stronghold of recruiting?
I think first and foremost, I think D2 level, this part of the country is phenomenal. I mean, it's crazy. Like the South probably gets a lot of credit for having all this talent, but if you look where all the national title teams come from, now are they all Northern kids? No, there's some kids from down South mixed in, but most rosters are going to be from where you're at. And so, biggest thing I took over, I'm stealing it from the U, but they call it the state of Miami. We call it the state of Wayne. We put a dot on Wayne. We want to try and dominate 250 miles radius around Wayne State College. And so that's obviously Nebraska, Iowa, South Dakota, and we're gonna hammer it. We're gonna find guys that fit Wayne State. We want the best players possible, but I'll be honest, there's some players that are really talented that maybe don't fit Wayne State. And after one conversation, you can tell, well, like instead of chasing him, let's go get a guy who maybe isn't quite as talented, maybe. Like, not that you ever want to concede that, but he fits Wayne. Well, if he fits, he's probably going to grow here. He's going to become a better version of himself. He's going to make us better than a kid who just you're forcing it here because the scholarship was the best or whatever it may be, whatever reason it is. But hammering that, and then I think just the farming Midwest blue collar, like you solve your problems with hard work. Like that's what football is. I mean, that's why I love football so much. You can have a guy walk on who, as an 18-year-old first practice, you think there's no way he's going to play. Well, 3 years in your program, he's probably going to be pretty good. He's probably going to play for you and find a way to help you win big games. And I don't think in other sports you can do that. But again, it comes back to the DNA and how they were raised. Just families around here aren't afraid to work. And community's important. Well, that's a locker room. That's in today's world, that's sticking around with the transfer portal when there's always someone out there trying to slide into your DMs, send you a text that is against the rules. But if you got loyalty and people that think community and brotherhood and family is important, you can fend off some of it. It's not bulletproof by no means, but it allows your team to stay together. And we all know older you get in football, usually the better you're going to be.
Yeah. With this new age, with the transfer portal and everything that's kind of making its way with money and all that, like, how do you guys approach that? What's your philosophy? And I think one of the biggest things that I've noticed with really good teams is like the tighter knit groups and the teams that are closer, you see less transfer portal activity. Obviously more, especially guys leaving and more guys coming in. But when you guys are thinking about the transfer portal, what are you guys trying to accomplish with supplementing that with your roster?
Yeah, I mean, with our current roster, obviously we want them all to come back. Again, it goes back to kind of the recruiting footprint of being guys from around here. Some coaches are not going to follow the rules. And so we tell our current team, like, stay away from agents, okay? They just want to tell you what you want to hear to try and get you to pay them. If the coaches really want you, they're going to reach out to you. And just be transparent with us. And like we had a DB go to D1 school, he's getting over $250,000. Well, I would tell my son to take that in a heartbeat, okay? So,
Yeah.
totally understand that, okay? But sometimes these agents say they're going to get him this and whatnot. And it leads to now a bunch of guys in the portal with no home because their value wasn't maybe what they thought. On the flip side, us bringing in guys, we break it into two things, okay? So, like we took a couple of local guys that are portal guys. To me, they're not portal guys. We recruit them out of high school. We've been in their house. We know their head coaches. We can do all the background. They just maybe chose to go to a D1 school to give it a shot. Okay, well now they want to play, and we didn't burn that bridge. They're coming back to us. Those aren't, to me, those aren't portal guys. A few positions, like we took a couple defensive backs that have no connection to this area, this region, our staff, but we try to do as much homework, and it's more to fill a need than to live off of it. I don't want our program here in Wayne to probably be, and not saying it's wrong, so it might work for other places. That's not me. That's not who we are. Where you have to bring in 20 transfers, 30 transfers a year. Because I don't know if I'm a good enough coach to mesh it all together in 6 months. Where we always want to try and sprinkle in our guys with the core family that we have here, where our habits, our process, everything takes over, and those guys become part of it instead of trying to figure out who you are with a whole new team. And I know the higher levels you go, it seems like that's kind of the norm. But here at D2, I don't think you have to do that to be successful. As you see with the teams that are really good, they're not bringing in 40 transfers. Usually it's a couple here or there to replace immediate needs, where probably the only reason you have immediate need is because some bigger school took a guy from you, and now you got to replace it because your young guy's not quite ready to be the guy there.
I feel like in the transfer portal is getting crazier and crazier. But whenever you hear like you're gonna have this amount of yards or you're gonna get this many catches, like that feels like such a red flag to me, because like you don't know how that kid's gonna fit. Hell, you don't even know if he's gonna play. Like I had a guy that like he told a player he was gonna have 80 catches, and I'm like at the Division I school. I'm like, he didn't even have that as Division III school. He didn't have half of that. And so yeah, you're right. The agents, and it's getting weird. Like it's getting weird, and there's got to get some. But yeah, like you said, man, it's like, man, that 250,000 to be a backup sounds pretty good. Like I'd probably take that myself. But one of the last things I'm curious your thoughts on, but this conference, this Northern Sun Conference, I mean, it is so competitive week in and week out. It feels like a 1 week war at a time. What's your interpretation of the conference, and how do you approach every week? Is it really like that 1 week war at a time? And because when I see it from afar, I'm like, man, it must be awesome to play in that conference, but it also must kind of like be like, man, there's not a lot of times where you can just relax and be like, we'll be fine this week. But how do you approach the league?
It's a lot of fun, like you said, because every week, if you don't bring it, you're gonna get beaten. Well, that we saw that this year. I mean, at one point we were 3-4, and so on paper, the best team still to play, and so you got to bring it each week, and with our conference being pretty big numbers wise, the diversity and styles of play is crazy, and so like you have really good teams that are going to be in 12 person, they're going to power down your throat until you can stop it. Well, you better be able to do that. Then at the same time, you have Moorhead, who's going to have 4 or 5 wideouts and one of the best quarterbacks in college football, slinging the rock around, running no power, and you got to have the guys that fit that scheme that can stop that. And then you got Minot State, who runs triple option, where now it's assignment, being disciplined, not chasing stuff, and then trying to make a play when you're not supposed to, and being in your gap. I mean, that's the fun part, because I'm a football junkie. The best thing I think that happened selfishly for me is when we went away from the silo scheduling, because I love early in the season watching so-and-so play a team from another league. So just a different style of football, different perspective, because let's be honest, scheming and stuff is stealing stuff from other programs. Okay, well, there might be something in there that fits what you do, but you never thought about it. Just for some reason your brain blocked that out. Well, now it's something that can make you better as a program, because you're watching film on someone else. You're getting a new perspective and different ways that different staff might attack it. Because when you're silo, I hate to say it was the same thing, but it's kind of the same thing. You get no outside perspective how they're going to attack these different things. So that all of that together, it's a lot of fun, and it's kind of like a 1 week season, I guess, best way to put it. And really, I probably appreciate that, since our league's good, is you can't look ahead on anybody, so you got to be focused on what's exactly in front of you that week. Because if you don't, you're going to lose to a 3-win team, and it's going to wreck your season. And I learned the hard way this year. So it's good. It does stink that every week's a physical war for the most part. But I wouldn't have it the other way. That's what football's about.
Yeah. This last little section here is just quick hits. You can elaborate as much or as little as you want. It's pretty basic. So, first one here for you is best football movie.
Best football movie. Oh, just because it's been in news like growing up. I like Varsity Blues. Judge me all you want.
Love it. Yeah,
Varsity
that's one of my favorites as well.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Yep.
Coach, past or present, you'd love to talk ball with for an hour.
Saban.
Yeah, that's a pretty popular one. I would do just about anything to get that guy on the show. One football or one non-football skill you think every player needs to have.
Oh, being able to cook.
Oh, that's a new one. Yeah, we have not heard that one before. That's a good one.
Yeah,
I
mean, well, yeah, you want to be the best football player possible. You don't want to eat ramen noodles and Easy Mac and things like that. You need some stuff. And to like going after your wife, if you can cook, you want to talk about getting brownie points. You can cook a mean meal, means whatever it might be, grill, whatever. You're gonna impress her, and that goes a long ways too. So
I love that. That's a great answer. I'm a big fan of that. Non-football thing you do to stay creative.
Oh, I like to read. My mom was an English teacher. That passed on. I don't like math very much or science. I like to read and write. I'm kind of weirdo that way. So I like to read and
you got a top
learn.
three? Got a top three?
Oh. Like all time, see, I'm a weird mom's English teacher, but like my favorite book of all time is Mice and Men.
Okay, nice.
I don't know why, but
okay,
it is. So,
love it.
Yeah, so I'm all over the place with reading stuff, but a lot on like different presidents, leaders, how your mind works, things like that. So, again, trying to play the game within the game, I guess best way to put it.
Okay. If your team was a band or an artist, who would it be?
Oh shoot. Oh. AC/DC.
Love it. That's I was kind of thinking something like that as what myself there. Last question for you here. What's one piece of advice you would give to the next generation of coaches?
Work hard. It don't worry about what you make, because if you bust your butt, it's going to lead you to places that are going to change your life. And hard work is the answer to everything, and it's going to help you gain respect faster from full-time coaches, other coaches when you go to camps and things like that. So be a hard worker. Don't be afraid to take on new tasks and constantly be learning. Don't think you know everything, because no one knows everything. Everyone can always learn something new, and there's a million different ways to do it. And sometimes knowing how you don't want to do it is just as important as knowing how you want to do it. And so be a hard worker and be a sponge.
Love that. Well, Coach, I can't thank you enough for coming on. Always been a big fan of yours, and always love watching you guys play. And hopefully we get out there for a small school Saturday here eventually.
Sounds good. And I really appreciate you thinking of us and Wayne State College and what you're doing to help coaches grow and learn. Because, like I said, coaching stealing. So sitting on my computer watching your guys' episodes and stealing stuff from the other coaches I've been on is another way for us to grow. So really appreciate what you do for the game and us coaches.
Absolutely. I'm happy to do it.